3 years after the lake house toast, I peed on a stick in the upstairs bathroom while Caleb was downstairs making pancakes for Luna's 4th birthday. 2 pink lines appeared so fast the test almost laughed at me. I walked downstairs holding it behind my back like a grenade. Caleb flipped a pancake, looked up, and saw my face. He turned the burner off slowly and said, "Tell me." I held the test out. He stared at it for 3 whole seconds, then dropped the spatula, picked me up, and spun me until I screamed that I was going to throw up. Luna barked like the house was on fire. That was the moment we became 3. We kept it quiet for the first trimester, because I was paranoid after a chemical pregnancy the year before that. Nobody knew about except Mia. But at 13 weeks, we decided to tell the family the same weekend as Luna's birthday party. We rented the same lake house because some places just feel like home now. Susan insisted on hosting. She turned the backyard into a golden retriever-themed explosion. Balloons, bones, a dog-friendly cake, and a bounce house for the kids. 30 people showed up, including Jake and Jessica, who were now married and trying for their own baby. Caleb grilled burgers while I hid my ginger ale in a red Solo cup. Halfway through the party, Caleb clinked his beer bottle and said, "We have one more birthday to celebrate today." He pulled me to his side and said, "Luna is going to be a big sister next spring." The backyard went dead silent for half a second, then erupted. Susan dropped her plate, sprinted across the grass, and tackled us both, screaming, "I'm getting another grandbaby," while crying into my hair. Jessica burst into happy tears and hugged Jake, who looked stunned in the best way. Mia started a group chant of baby Caldwell, while filming on her phone. That video hit 10 million views in 4 days. The internet lost its mind over the hot mic girl is pregnant with the cousin's baby, and suddenly we were viral again. We didn't find out the gender the boring way. Caleb is extra. He contacted the same pilot who flew us over the Northern Lights in Iceland and asked if he could do a gender reveal flyover. The pilot said yes. So at 20 weeks, we gathered 50 friends and family on a private airstrip at sunset. Everyone wore white. 2 vintage planes took off. One dropped pink smoke. The other dropped blue. They crossed in the sky, making a giant heart. Then a banner unflew behind the second plane that said, "It's a girl." People screamed so loud the video audio peaked. Caleb fell to his knees in the grass, crying. I have never loved him more than in that moment. The clip got picked up by every major news outlet. Someone made a slow-motion edit with Hallelujah playing over it, and it currently sits at 87 million views on TikTok. Strangers still send me baby clothes in the mail. The pregnancy was easy until the 3rd trimester, when my blood pressure decided to be dramatic. Doctor put me on modified bed rest at 34 weeks. Caleb turned into a helicopter husband in the best way. Worked from home, carried me to the couch every morning, made sure I had watermelon cut into hearts because it was the only thing I could keep down. He read What to Expect when you're expecting out loud in funny voices until I laughed so hard I peed a little. Susan came over 3 times a week with freezer meals and foot rubs. Jessica brought prenatal massage gift cards and face masks. Even Jake sent a text that just said, "Thinking of you, let me know if you need anything at all." I screenshotted it and showed Caleb. He smiled and said growth looks good on him. At 38 weeks, I woke up at 3 a.m. with contractions that felt like a Charlie horse in my soul. Caleb stayed calm on the outside while speedwalking around the house, packing the hospital bag he had already packed 3 times. We got to the hospital at 4:30. By 5:30, I was begging for the epidural. By 9:15, I was pushing. At 9:47 a.m. on a rainy Thursday in April, our daughter came screaming into the world with a head full of dark hair and Caleb's green eyes. Caleb cut the cord with shaking hands, then laid her on my chest and sobbed into my neck like a little boy. I have never heard a man cry happy tears that hard. The nurse asked for her name. We looked at each other, smiled, and said Aurora. Rory for short, after the Northern Lights that brought us together. The hospital room turned into Grand Central Station. Mia showed up first with balloons and coffee. My parents second. Susan third, crying harder than Caleb, carrying a tiny pink knit hat she stayed up all night making. Then Jessica walked in holding a gift bag, and behind her was Jake. He looked nervous, hanging back by the door until I waved him in. He walked over slow, took one look at Rory in my arms, and his face crumpled. He whispered, "She's perfect," then turned away fast, wiping his eyes like he was embarrassed. Jessica rubbed his back and mouthed, "Thank you" to me. Susan noticed, took Jake's hand, and said, "Come say hi to your niece properly." He leaned over the bed, kissed Rory's tiny forehead, and said, "Hey, little star, I'm your Uncle Jake." His voice cracked on the last word. Caleb reached across the bed and squeezed Jake's shoulder. No words, just two men who used to hate each other sharing the quietest, most loaded moment of forgiveness I have ever witnessed. Jake pulled a small box out of his pocket and set it on the blanket. Inside was the tiniest gold bracelet with a single star charm. He said I had it made the day you announced it was a girl. I didn't know if I'd ever get to give it to her, but I wanted her to have something from me. I started crying again, which made Rory cry, which made all of us laugh through tears. Susan took roughly 400 photos. One of them, Caleb holding Rory while Jake and I smile at each other over her head, is now framed in our hallway. We brought Rory home 3 days later to a house that smelled like lemon cleaner and the lasagna Mia dropped off. Luna sniffed the car seat once, then laid down in front of it like a golden bodyguard and refused to move for 12 hours. Caleb took 8 weeks paternity leave and basically never put Rory down. He wore her in the carrier while doing dishes, sang her old army cadences in the goofiest soft voice, changed every diaper, like it was an Olympic event. I fell in love with him all over again every single day. Jake and Jessica came over the next weekend with takeout and a baby swing. They stayed 4 hours. Jessica helped me shower while the guys watched football and passed Rory back and forth like they'd been doing it forever. At one point, I walked into the living room and saw Jake holding Rory against his chest, rocking side to side, humming. He looked up, caught my eye, and smiled the most peaceful smile I'd ever seen on him. Later, when they left, he hugged me goodbye and whispered thank you for letting me be her uncle. I whispered back, "You earned it." 6 months later, Jessica called me crying happy tears. Took a test that morning. 2 pink lines. Due the same week, Rory was born the following year. She asked if Rory to be her flower girl one day. I laughed until I cried and said she can drool down the aisle, it's fine. Rory's first birthday fell on the same weekend as the lake house reunion again. We turned it into a joint celebration. Rory's first birthday and Jake and Jessica's gender reveal because they wanted to do the plane flyover too. This time the planes dropped pink smoke only. Another girl. Susan screamed so loud the pilot heard it over the engine noise. That video hit 100 million views. The internet officially adopted us as the Hot Mic family. That night after the kids were asleep, the 4 of us sat on the dock passing a bottle of wine like the night everything healed. Jake looked out at the water and said, "I used to think losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Turns out it was the best thing, because it made me become the man my daughter deserves." Jessica squeezed his hand. Caleb raised his bottle and said to second chances. We all clinked. Rory started walking at 13 months. Her first steps were straight to Jake, who was sitting on the living room floor holding his own daughter. She fell into his lap giggling. He caught her like it was the most natural thing in the world. Susan took a picture and sent it to the family group chat with the caption, "The universe has jokes," and I love her for it. Sometimes, I still watch the old videos from the gender reveal, the toast, the wedding. Millions of strangers leave comments saying they sob every time. But my favorite comment is still the one that just says plot twist. Everybody won. Because that's the truth. Jake won, I won, Caleb won, Jessica won, Susan won, Rory and her cousin won before she's even born won. Even the Hot Mic won because it forced every single one of us to grow. We're not a perfect family, but we're a healed one. And that's better.